What's going on, guys? The questions that we are going to hit today, and we're going to ask Julian and have myself answer as well, are going to be around this. Have you ever seen a good-looking guy completely fumble because of his personality? What's more attractive after age 25? Looks, confidence, or competence? Have dating apps made this problem worse? And is social media making men think they're uglier than they actually are?
She struggled. She was a single parent with me and my sister. I don't want you doing this. So I'm like, nah, I'm going to do it different.
It doesn't matter how many likes you get. It doesn't matter how many followers you get. If you know you're working towards something, really almost impossible if you keep going and you're working diligent.
There's no shortcuts to anything.
For sure.
You're all into it. If it works, it works. If it doesn't, you're going to learn something out of it.
You just have to keep going, and it has to be within to know, like, in a humble way.
The last couple of weeks on this topic, and the statement I want to open off with, which first off, I'll say what's up, boy. How we doing? But the first statement I want to open this discussion with is good-looking men can get away with certain things that other men would never be able to with women in life, lifestyles, jobs, whatever, etc. How does that land with you?
Just a fact.
Is it?
Yeah, it's that simple.
It's like the term pretty privilege, you know, it's a real thing, you know, and I think a good way to open this conversation up is, you know, we can tie this to the workforce, man. I think presentation is everything. You know, first impression on anyone is going to really make or break a situation and how far a networking thing can go, or in this case, a job opportunity can go. And I think that's why it's very important for us dudes. It's like, a shirt's too long, you tuck it in, you have a belt, you dress appropriate for the type of job environment that you're in, because those types of things are what separate you and someone else that may have more experience than you. And let's be honest, bro, we don't want trash a CEO would never want trash in a work environment. How is that going to bring in money? How is it going to bring in customers? Even if you don't work in customer-facing industries, you still want to have a certain level of appeal in the work environment so that it presents a cleanliness around everyone.
Absolutely. I would agree. I think presentation, it really just shows how you feel about yourself.
Yeah.
And I mean that in regards to anything that you wear, because presentation can be it can be shown through cozy vibes, relaxed vibes.
For sure.
And then actually, like, you know, putting a fit on, or, you know, really intending on throwing something on nice because you're going somewhere. But in any spectrum of dress, what you wear and how you wear it is really a representation of how you feel and how you feel about yourself.
Yeah.
So there is a caveat to where there are some people that just don't necessarily care about dressing, which that's understandable too.
Yeah.
But subsiding that, I think it's really just about how are you presenting yourself, because how you present yourself shows to other people how you internally feel about yourself.
Yeah.
So it's just that simple, and it's irregardless of like what you're putting on. It's just, again, because it could be a calm fit, it could be actual fit, it could be a cozy vibe, it could be shorts, it could be sweats, it could be whatever it is. It's still a representation of, oh, this is how I feel about myself.
Yeah, and that's a good point, man. And I think attractiveness as a whole doesn't have a certain face behind it. You know what I'm saying? Like, I think the best way to describe this is, we all know that the dude from 300, what's his name, Gerard Butler.
Leonidas.
Yeah. People would argue like that's probably an attractive man, and because obviously he's in the he's in a public industry. He's, you know, a huge famous actor, and you could tie that to being an attractive man. But I think when I think of attractive, as you know, for myself, I don't tie it to my features that I have. I tie it to how I'm dressing, how I'm presenting myself, just like you said. And just really how I'm carrying myself, bro, because I think everyone has a different type of what they would say is attractive and what isn't. You know, we know the conversation and debate of conventionally attractive people, but I think more often than not, the spectrum of being attractive is so broad that I would say and argue most dudes that would say to themselves that they think they're ugly or not as good looking as other dudes, if you put a solid fit on, you're probably going to put yourself up there when it comes to being around women. Then at least one person or one woman finding you attractive, be like, hey, that's a good looking fit. Now, it may not turn into something that you may want down the road, whether it's a relationship, marriage, or something else. But I do think attractiveness is not hard to accomplish if you go about taking care of being presentable and having a fit on that at least matches the type of environment or vibe that you're in.
Yeah, absolutely. And to take it even further, man, I think there's so many components of attraction or, how one shows who they are.
Yeah.
But I genuinely think if one pours into themselves on the workout end, that can intensify so many different things.
Yeah.
And the reason why I say that is because if we're gonna tie, let's just say, a physique to clothes. If you actually have a really nice physique, you actually don't need to go out of your way to now if you like to dress and you really know how to throw it on, that's one aspect. But you can be very minimal in your dress if you have a nice physique
I agree.
it carries what you wear. Almost if you throw too much on, it could take away from what you have going on. So the reason why I say that is if one focuses on, for a man, pouring into himself on the physical side in regards to just working out. Yes, of course, getting haircuts, skincare routine, things like that, those are all essential. But if you pour into yourself and everybody's body type is going to be different. Everybody's shape and figure is going to be different. And one should be trying to be the best version of themselves in whichever aspect they're going for. But just in the span of what we're talking about, if one were to pour into themselves on the physicality side of things, you could have on distressed jeans and a fitted tee, and it looks like an amazing fit because the body is the outfit.
Right.
Where on the contrast, somebody could have on the craziest outfit, chains on, glasses, watch, and they don't have a shape, and it doesn't look like anything. You know what I mean? So I think more so it's really about just pouring into self from a physical aspect in regards to other things, and everything else just becomes insurmountable.
Yeah, no, I think, just having the presentation of, dang, it looks like you could probably at least run half a mile, do 20 push-ups. Like, it goes a long way for people, bro. And I regardless if you're a man or a woman that is looking to be around this type of individual or this type of dude, I think just having the look and the feeling of, and I always say it in the content that I make, is just like being an athlete or looking athletic. I think that pulls a certain level of dudes around you, or in this case, women around you, because a lot of it comes from I feel safe around him, or I know that if something happens, I'm able to lean on him to get me out of a situation. Other dudes know that, hey, if something happens, I can rely on him to be there for me and know that there's going to be some type of presentation that wouldn't get to that point. Absolutely. Because that's really what it is, bro, is the presentation first and foremost is everything. Now, if it goes beyond that, then obviously there has to be some different components that we talk about. But in this instance of the episode we're around right now is talking about attractiveness and how to be presentable. I think a simple fit and going to the gym, 3 to 5 times a week can really elevate dudes that are out here that are on the fence about them thinking of themselves as, am I good looking, or am I leaning more towards, I won't say ugly, but less good looking than maybe other dudes that I've seen or other smooth dudes that I would like to be like. And I think, like you just said, bro, the working out can really set the tone. And I also think, and it might be a hot take, but I think if you're a fitted dude, bro, like you look good, you can almost wear anything. The door to like whatever it is that you want to throw on, you could wear the most outlandish thing and you could probably still rock it.
For sure.
Genuinely.
For sure. And again, it's the full embodiment of it is the confidence that's exuded when you pour into self.
Yeah.
And that's why I say, like, it's very minimal in regards to the clothes that you have to wear outfit-wise, not actual clothing.
Right.
But outfit-wise, because when you've poured into who you are as a person, if you poured into the work that you put in the gym, if you pour into, like, your, elevating your look and getting haircuts often and skincare routines, you can be actually, the minimal look is a smooth look. Mm-hmm. It's actually smoother. So, yeah, I agree. I think it's just more so about what one does on the back end, and everything else would just show on the forefront.
Yeah, I think it depends, like you said, bro, on the type of guy that it's all down to interest, right? Like, I think dressing what you feel most confident and comfortable in is a huge thing, because that confidence oozes out into the environment that you're in. Sure. And I'll always remember when we had the conversation about you talking about your glasses that you wore into that environment that one time, when you said you're the only one wearing sunglasses, and that person came up to you and made a comment. It's like, people notice it, and it may not even be in the most, I would say, sincere way or the most positive way, but sometimes you got to look at those moments and be like, I'm doing something right. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And it's the same quote that usually people say all the time is, if people aren't talking bad about you, you're not doing something big enough that's making an impact or making a splash in whatever it is, the lifestyle that you're trying to live. So sometimes, yeah, man, once you get to that confidence level, I think you could start playing around with certain things. But I would say the key to this, in terms of just having the most flexibility to elevate your we'll just start off with your outfits, would be to get in the gym and getting your body right. And it could even start with simple 10 push-ups, 30 push-ups, crunches, dips, like just starting off slow, man. But I think if you can get yourself at least to that point, you're not going to have to go and figure out certain fits or feel like you have to go online shopping. You can show up to Walmart, put together a smooth fit.
Absolutely, man. And again, I more so come from the angle of pouring into self.
Yeah.
Because everything else is going to be a byproduct of that. So, like, if one doesn't pour into themselves and they go get whatever, designer or whatever clothes, it's still not going to hit. It's not going to look a certain way. And you could throw on whatever clothing you want to wear. The internal aspect is not going to exude because there's been no work put forth within to self.
Yeah, that's good.
So it's not going to show.
For sure.
Whereas if you see somebody and you can just tell they've put in work on themselves, if they do put on, let's just say like a white tee, a fitted white tee, some distressed jeans, and Doc Marten boots with a trucker hat, it's going to look amazing because you can tell like, wow, that looks really good on you. It's minimal, but the body is the outfit.
Right.
You know, so all of this just goes back into pouring into self, and then everything else is just going to be a byproduct of that.
Yeah, no, that's a good point. So to go a little bit further into this, man, do you, what would you say the areas that, in this case, good-looking men are able to kind of get away with, or in this case, make mistakes early on when in this case, working with women, that other dudes who probably aren't necessarily as attractive, confident, or have the archetype to move that way, once they make those mistakes, it's done for them? What areas would you feel like that lands in?
Man, it's a good question, but to be just very, very candid, it's everything. And what I mean by that is, for a guy that's objectively a handsome man, that knows he's a handsome man, when he gets around women, and again, it's not to placate on this and just operate any type of way.
For sure.
But you don't have to do too much. Like, you don't have to do too much. You can genuinely be yourself.
Mm-hmm.
You can just genuinely
That's a good point.
be yourself. And she's gonna have burning desire for you. She's gonna have a natural attraction to you. Whereas you don't have to like operate in a facade or try to be something or talk about certain things.
Yeah.
Or have a certain type of disposition about yourself. You just are genuinely you. And because again, you poured into yourself, she just has a natural attraction and a natural keenness to just wanting to be by you and get next to you and converse with you and laugh when you talk and look you in your eyes. But it's all because you've poured into yourself.
For sure.
So, again, that's why I say you really can. And, again, it's not for a guy to know that and then play with it or manipulate that.
Yeah.
That's the wrong way. That's not the route. But you can genuinely just be, if we're talking about being around a woman, you can genuinely just be you, and she's just naturally just going to be attracted to just who you are and your disposition.
That's a good point.
And it's just that simple, genuinely.
Yeah, I think to be more specific into that, I think you're able to have tougher conversations, let's just say on a first date, than most dudes would think that they're able to have. I think if you're operating off a level of confidence and knowing that yourself, you know, first and foremost, you as a person, you feel attractive, and you're able to know that the woman that's on the date with you is there because she has some type of interest. I would say you're able to go and push the line a little bit further with the conversations you can have, because you're able to have that early on, so that way date 4 or 5 comes down the road, you're not having to wait. And you could really start to fast track some of the good things in that, to see really what type of woman that is, and know that I'm going to answer, you know, honestly and most importantly, transparently. And if that answer doesn't land with her and she doesn't take it the way that maybe I'm trying to come off, or she just doesn't agree with it, there is still a level of attraction that's like, well, he was honest and transparent. That's just as attractive as his looks. Most dudes that operate off of that, and again, come from that attractive standpoint, are able to get away with that type of stuff to where, and it's just life, bro. This is really how it is. It's just, it's how it is.
Absolutely.
Dudes that don't have that type of look, they're not able to get away with it, bro. Like, that will be, not to speak for women, but from what I've heard from women situations, is something was said wrong or something was said not to their liking. They're just like, I don't know if I'm going to give that a chance again.
It's an immediate deal breaker.
Right. Yes, exactly.
For sure. And I mean, and that's why
but there's nothing wrong with it.
No, there's not. And there's not. And that's why I say, and I'm prefacing it on by saying, it's not for a man to know who he is and to manipulate that. Because one can do that and then just start just doing whatever. Because you know, like, and I'm saying it just to speak candidly, you can really do whatever you want. Like when you're
Yeah,
at that level.
for sure. For sure.
You can operate however you want. And I'm not saying operate however you want in a way to where it's like you're not a genuine person. I'm not speaking on it from that aspect. I'm just saying like you don't have to like be anything I don't think people realize in the span of what we're talking about, a lot of guys or men aren't necessarily being who they are.
Yeah,
They're
for
putting
sure.
on a facade for what the reaction that they want to receive. It's a totally different aspect when you're 100% you, because you poured into yourself. So if you dress well or you poured into your body, you smell good, you have your skin is clean, you have a routine, you have a haircut, and you genuinely have real self-confidence. That shows, that permeates, because it's a spiritual component to that.
Yeah.
So that can be seen. So within that, you can just genuinely be yourself. And there's a natural desire for who you are. You're not trying to speak on certain things or have a certain voice or trying to do like little things to try to get reactions. No, you're genuinely yourself. And it's seen like, no, this man, he even if she doesn't know like what you've been through, it can be seen like he's worked on himself.
Right.
He has a certain level of confidence. He cares about how he speaks, or he cares about how he dresses, or he thinks before he speaks, or he has a good vocabulary, or there's a level of mystery to him that's intriguing. But where does that come from? On the back end, you pouring into yourself, working out, reading, going out, seeking different things, doing things on your own, to whereas you get these trinkets, you get these different characteristics, you get these different abilities, and the byproduct of that is, wow, a certain desire that you're going to receive. But again, all that comes from is pouring into self. And that's really what we're talking about.
Yeah.
We're talking about pouring into self, because for a man to be able to have that type of experience, it's a spiritual thing. It's not something you can buy. It's not something you can fake. And it's not something you can force. It's a genuine knowing within that you know who you are, you're working on yourself, and it just permeates. It shows. And again, there's no facade within that, because facades can be seen, or eventually the mask is going to unveil itself. You can only have a facade for so long.
Yeah, and you would hope that it can be seen after a certain point. And I think on the good and the bad side, I think everything that you described has to come from a place of you're not entitled to getting anything, right? Like you're doing all this work, just like you said, for yourself. It's just to be you. It's to make sure that you're feeling the best about yourself. You're hitting the gym. You're buying clothes that you like, that you feel good in. You're, eating healthy. You're doing what you got to do outside of this, and you're going and enjoying time with friends. None of that's entitled to a woman or to a relationship or to money. I think, and that's where a lot of dudes get into a really dangerous game with themselves, bro, because they look at it and they're like, oh, well, I handled the gym. I got my money up. I bought the clothes. Now I'm ready. And it's like, you're not ready and you shouldn't expect anything out of it, because genuinely, since we're already on the topic of dating, it's like you go on a date the first time and you're saying all the right things. It may be the right things that you believe too. You have a faith. You see people for who they are. You're respectful. You do the right things. You do the small little things. That woman can look at you and just be like, I don't believe you because I've had terrible experiences with men. It's not up to you to sit there and be like, well, let me prove you wrong. You got to sit there and be like, okay, well, through consistent action, I'm going to show up knowing that it's genuine to me. I'm not showing up for a facade. I'm not showing up to get something out of you. If I'm genuinely a good dude and I know that I'm a smooth, attractive dude, I'm doing it because I want to be here with you. You have something I like, and I'm going to keep moving in the motion that I would move in with my mom, my dad, my best friend. Just because you're a good-looking woman doesn't mean that I'm trying to curate my lifestyle, the things that I'm doing for you. And I think a lot of dudes, again, bro, they get themselves into this, well, once I do all these things, like you said, then I found the perfect formula. Now a woman has to want me. Bro, that's not how life is. No. And I think more often than not, we're in this war right now and it's sad. Like, and I don't want to go down this rabbit hole too much, but I think there's a man and woman war right now between all of us, bro. And it's genuinely disappointing for real. But I think with that being said, as a man, you have to genuinely work on yourself with the thought process of, I'm doing it for myself because I want to be healthy. I want to be able to move around situations, have composure. I want to look at women, any type of woman, and know that I have respect for them, or know that regardless if they say something that I might not agree with, we're cool. We could still have a genuine conversation and move through. Just like you could still have a genuine conversation with your boy, not agree on something, and still go separate ways with respect. And I think the lack of respect when it comes to it and the entitlement from this point is it's kind of concerning, bro. And I think as dudes, we got to make sure that there is no direct result of any of us doing any of this stuff that we are continuously doing to have a positive outcome come to it.
Absolutely. And I think, there's a real component of if somebody is doing something premeditated,
Yeah.
thinking that they're going to get a response, that's when anger comes. Anger is a byproduct of that. But when you're genuinely doing things because it's you, or you're bettering yourself, or you're working on yourself. And again, it goes back to the 7 spiritual laws of success, the book that we both read, in regards to the law of detachment. When you're just genuinely working on yourself, think about, for example, and we're going to just speak very candid. Think about the times for men that are listening that you've been out, right? That you've gone out with your boys. You had no intent of just trying to meet anybody or anything like that. And you end up meeting somebody. Because you went out with the intent of just having fun, enjoying yourself, being with your boys. And if you're in a space where there are women, it's the law of detachment of just not being concerned about that. Yeah. And what happens? It can be seen that no, you're chilling, you're relaxing, or whatever you have going on. But if we're going in regards to how you mentioned, and I'm about to throw this fit on, I'm about to go out with my boys, we about to go Mac, we about to go talk. Now you're so invested that if that's not the end result, now by the end of whatever the time, the function, the night, now you're mad because you went out with a premeditated, preconceived ideal of what you thought was going to happen, or you threw on a certain type of cologne, you threw on a certain type of fit, you went to get your hair cut, now, and you're expecting something from this.
Right.
No. Now, could it still happen? Possibly. But if you think it's going to happen and it doesn't, now you're upset because you had a preconceived notion for it, whereas you should have just went out with a mindset of, and I'm just popping out with my boys.
Right.
I'm going out with my brothers. I'm going out to just have a good time. And whatever happens, happens. And you'll see that, but you have to genuinely be like this. And again, it can't be a facade. You have to genuinely be like that. It has to be a genuine desire to whereas you don't care. Or your boy is doing this thing or your boys are doing their thing and you're genuinely man, they're doing their thing. Not I see them doing, now I need to go do it. It can't be any of that. And so it's all a spiritual thing. You know what I mean? It's a real internal thing that one has to move from within. And once that happens, it really is true liberation for real.
No, it's a good point that you make. And it's nuts, bro, because I think God in certain situations has a funny way of putting dudes like that in those moments to where they get so close, right? They get so close to that end result, whether it's a night out, whether it's a relationship, whether it's money or job, whatever. And then he just pulls you out or certain things line up in life that just pulls you out. And that's what leaves the guy there just either mad, upset, frustrated, sad. And those emotions come out in different ways for many different types of dudes. But I think a lot of dudes struggle with that, bro, because of the fact that the attachment to something is so real. And I was having that conversation. And I think the biggest challenge with us dudes is we get attached to things and we'll try to go any other way to get it, which is not healthy regardless. And it gets yourself hurt. It gets people hurt. And let's be honest, it can put you in some real prison and jail time at the end of the day. So I think the spiritual component, like you talked about, man, is the most important thing in all of this. And knowing that every day that you wake up and you choose to go to the gym, you choose to take care of yourself, it's only because you want to be an inch better than you were yesterday. It's not to get the woman or the money or the job or the prize. And a lot of people work off that nowadays, bro. It's I'm going to do 10 push-ups, my chest is going to get bigger. Yeah, certain elements of that. When we play sports, we're transactional in that. It's you go to the gym, you shoot 100 free throws, you're going to get better. It's not like that in life. You could work your whole life and not have the things that you said that you were going to line up to have. And that's just sometimes off of maybe God is protecting you. Maybe it's not your time right now. And I think more often than not, we need to look at it in that lens rather than just, well, dang, that's it for me. I'm going to stop doing this. And that's when we start seeing guys that are smooth, bro. And I'm sure you've seen them in college, high school. I used to see some of these guys and I'm like, bro, they look good in high school. They look good in college. 10 years down the road, I'm looking at them like, bro, what happened? And it's one or two things that didn't go their way. And it's just, this is my life. It's my reality now, bro. And it's just sad because you knew them at a certain time and you were just like, bro, I thought something was going to come out of you. And we've talked about it to where we've had certain instances with other people in a humble way of them telling us, man, we've always known you're going to do something great, Julian. Like everything you touch, there's a certain level of genuine attitude, energy, and the way you move that your determination is going to get you to places, you know?
I love, bro. And you mentioned something in the sports reference, and I think that's why you'll hear coaches or other players that have understanding. And the most vital thing that one can say in regards to any of that is, let the game come to you.
Mm-hmm.
Let your game come, let the game come to you. And,
Yeah.
and that's a real thing when playing sports, because what's the antithesis of that? Forcing it. Trying to score a whole bunch of points, or trying to get a whole bunch of home runs, or trying to get a whole bunch of outs, or trying to get ground ball. Like, no, let your game come to you. You've prepared, you've been ready, you've practiced, you put in the work. So now when you're just on the field or you're on the court, you're relaxed and your game can come to itself and you can flow. It's the same thing in life when you're going to the gym, when you're working on elevating your look, when you're reading, when you're working on, okay, you're getting a haircut every week, you're getting different colognes, you're making sure your body's on point, you're saving your bread. You're working on yourself so that now when you just go out or you're just in bypassing in stores or wherever you are, certain things just start to happen.
Yeah. Because
you're just literally day to day working on yourself. And it can be seen that you're in the grocery store and a woman comes up to you and you weren't expecting that. There's certain things that happen because you're genuinely on your day to day. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And there are unexpected things in a good way that happen because you genuinely have to have a spirit of, not in a bad way, not caring, but in a good way of, I'm not looking for anything.
I'm not attached to
I'm
it.
not attached to it. And I think people can see that. And I'll be very candid. Other guys can see that in other guys. And so when they see certain men having responses to that, they're not, they try to force it. They'll try to do certain things to compete when they don't understand it's a spiritual component. That's the thing. When you see people operate in certain spaces of letting the game come to them, whether in life or sports, it's a spiritual component to their order of operation to whereas why they're having things happen. So then when people see it and they want to parallel it by competing or forcing it, you're literally doing the opposite of how it's supposed to be done. And it's not going to happen because you're forcing the issue now. Whereas they're being themselves and things are coming because they genuinely don't have, not in a bad way, they don't have an attachment. That might be better to say than care, but it is a simultaneous thing.
For sure.
There's no care or attachment to people coming up to them or to compliments or to interactions with women or it's not, but it's a genuine thing. Or going out, let's say going out with the woman and then dropping her off or, going their separate ways and genuinely not having an attachment to, I'm trying to do something. Like, no, there's a genuine, no, let's have conversation, shake hands or give hugs, and then that's it. But you have to genuinely be like that. It can't be like, I'm going to do this because I'm trying to get this.
I'm going to hold this door open because I want her to say thank you.
Exactly, because that can be felt. It can be felt, but you can see when you see somebody and it's like, wow, they're just seamless with it, and they just they're just being themselves, and people can see it. You know what I mean? And that's what it is. People don't talk about when they see it, but they see it and then they feel a need to compete. They feel a need to do certain things about it, and it's like,
or they don't see it just yet.
Exactly.
And maybe they see it 2 weeks down the road, 3 weeks down the road, and they actually point or piece things together because they're like, oh wow, actually he's done that a few different times. Like that's real.
And it's and that's why I'm harboring on it. It's a spiritual thing. It's an individual, internal aspect that one is taking on. We're speaking about men, that a man is taking on to where he's like, no, I'm just, each day, like you said, I'm trying to get better. I'm working on myself. And all these things are just byproducts and bypass. Well, they're byproducts to what they're doing. That's all it is.
Yeah, man. I think some of the best things that have happened more recently in the last 5 years have been things that I've just never would have saw coming. Whether it's money enter my bank account and I'm just like, oh wow, like at that point, that was not even expecting it, or just being out. I remember out at a casino one time with somebody and just going playing the slots, and a couple coming up to us and being like, hey, do y'all want tickets to go see Too Short? And it's like just moments like that are and like just having those times to just not expect anything but be open to everything. And I think that's the best advice that I could give to these dudes, bro, is just be prepared for when that storm comes in a good way. So that way you can take care of the things that you need to take care of, and you're able to move in those areas and just be agile, because you never know, man. Like you said, grocery store, I mean, guys have gotten jobs in crazy ways. Like I've heard so many testimonial stories where I'm like, bro, what are the odds of that happening? And then you think about it and it's just like the odds were in your favor because you were doing all the things in the background. And I think social media is so dangerous sometimes that I got to be mindful of it myself when I'm going through some of my in-house routine stuff or some things that I'm doing for myself, whether or not it makes sense to put it on camera and to make it in content or whatnot, because is that really for me or is that for validation or is that for, hey, I'm doing this, come watch me do it. Sure. And it's a constant battle and I don't think anyone's above it. And I think for us dudes, it's, are you showing up to the gym because you want to look good or do you want to put up a certain physique for the wrong reasons? Or are you showing up because you want to be ready for when that time comes to be presentable and be able to do what you need to do in order to have the lifestyle that you want?
Absolutely, man. And that's why, again, and I've said this in multiple episodes that we've had, and this is something that I live by, the quote, and it comes from the book, The Courage to be Disliked. And I have this on my whiteboard in my room, but it states the desire for recognition, the desire for recognition makes you unfree. And it's so true, and it rings so true because in anything, there's never going to be a time to where it's like whatever somebody is doing, whether it's in the space of showing things or putting things out, there's not like an end. There's no end goal to it. There's no like, okay, I've done enough.
Yeah.
The itch never goes away.
Yeah.
Whether that's working out and showing it, whether that's, you know what I mean, doing work and showing it, reading and showing it, whatever it is and showing it, you can always chop it up, edit it, put it out and show. Like it can always be shown. But what about being in the mindset of, now I'm about to really lock in. I'm locking in on all my endeavors. And then when people do, I'm doing it for myself. But when people do see me, they're like, oh, I haven't seen you in a while or heard from you, but I see what you've been doing. That's what it's really about. And it's not even about them acknowledging it.
Right.
It's you genuinely mining and locking in for self. And people have, bro, as a baseball player, if you're locking in, well, I'll say this, two things. For one, practice it like you would never be in a practice with the camera showing yourself working out.
Right.
In any sport. None of us would. Secondarily, if you locked in for like, let's say a summer, you just locked in, did what you needed to do. That upcoming season, you go crazy or the first game, there's a totally different shift in your game. People are going to walk up and be like, yo, you've been working out. You've been working on your game because from last season to this season, yo, your game has taken a different element.
Yeah.
It's heightened. How did that happen? Through the lock-in. So it's literally the byproduct is it's going to be noticed. It's going to be like people have no choice but to notice. If you lock in the gym, people have no choice but when they see a fit on and they see you, they're like, yo, yeah, I haven't seen you post anything, but you've been in the gym. Like people can't help but to say it. You know what I mean? But then there are people, and it's not to knock, they want to show everything. They want to show they're in the gym every day. And it's like, okay, but people have to see you in real life. You know what I mean? We're going to see you in real life. So what would you rather want? To show that you're in the gym every day and there's really no results? Or you don't really show things, but when people see you, but you're ultimately doing it for yourself. But when it's seen, it's like, oh, you've been in the gym. What means more? Again, that's an internal question. That's just a rhetorical question. That's for somebody to answer within, you know what I mean? But I think that just reigns true to so many different things. It's like, what would one want? The real results of putting in the work or the look of this is what I'm doing? And that's an internal thing that we all have to look within and ask for ourselves. Do we really want to get it in or do we want to show that we're getting it in?
Yeah, and I think that just shows the transformation of a dude right there, bro. I think a lot of them would say, well, I want both. And you got to attack one to be good at it, to be able to attack the other. And I think that's why we're sitting here having this conversation today, man, because I feel like a lot of dudes out there need help. I feel like a lot of guys won't ask for help when it comes to certain things like this. And the faking it till you make it, bro, has been something that I've thought about the last few years of my life. And it's starting to put a sour taste in my mouth, honestly. Like, you can only fake certain things for so long until you're actually acquiring the skill or the learning to move about it in certain situations. And I think the more times that you fake it to make it in life, the more you're putting on that facade and just expecting to manipulate situations and come from an entitled mindset of like, well, now I deserve this because I worked my 40 hours a week. I've been here for 2 years. Pay me my money. Nah, bro, that's not how life works. Genuinely. Like, we all have to operate under a sense of I'm not, and again, it's in the Bible, I am not promised anything other than being in this very moment and impacting as many people as I possibly can in a positive manner. I think if more people were, like you said, there are certain things that you've said in the podcast, bro. There's certain things that it's literally, it's just a dying tune of, if you're of service, you see your boy speaking to a smooth woman, you're happy for him. You go, there's a cart at Walmart that's not in its spot. You got to go take it to the carts. You take the carts. Sure. You know, you see water on the gym floor that you should pick up. You go get some paper towels, even if it's not your water.
For sure.
Put the paper towels down and clean up the mess. It's up to us, bro. It's up to us as men to move in certain ways, to know that regardless if it's that moment or 10 years down the road, something good is going to come out of it. Absolutely. May not even be till we're dead, but understanding that you live this life with a movement that you're able to know that I was attractive enough to bring around maybe a community, maybe not, but bring around good vibes and good things to people when I stepped foot in every area that I was in, even if it's as simple as cleaning up some water. Absolutely. So, absolutely. All right, Julian. Well, we're at time, bro. So, like we always do it. Let's. What's one thing you can leave us off with in terms of the conversation that we've had and these dudes that are out here, you know, watching week to week and being able to support and just trying to move in life in the best manner?
Yeah, man. I'll say this, and this is something that like I do. So anytime I speak or give advice or just speak from the sound of a spot that I can, it's because I'm doing that.
Yes, yeah.
I mean, I don't ever say things that I'm not doing. But I would tell any man genuinely, I believe internally, we all know who we want to be. We all know that if we close our eyes and imagine that ultimate version, now we're gonna continue to grow, but that ultimate version of how we see ourselves, from a look to a dress, how we dress to our physique, we know who we want to be. Constantly work towards that. Work towards your personality. Work towards how you speak to people. Work towards how you engage with people and how you know what I mean. Work towards that, because it's just like going to the gym. We're working on our muscles. We're working on our frame. You have to work on your personality. You have to work on how you converse with people and how you speak and services and acts of service that you do. Be conscientious of that and work towards it daily. Because again, it's just chipping away. So if we chip away at all these things, now it becomes compound interest. Day by day, we're building a house. So you're doing it brick by brick. So just be conscientious of that ultimate version that you want to be and work towards it. Because if not, you can imagine it, but how are you going to get there?
Yeah.
How are you going to become? You have to become by doing it. So each thing that you're doing, personality-wise, service-wise, being kind, showing elevation, working on yourself, wanting to switch your look, whatever it is, constantly chip away at it in a good way. And again, you'll look up and be like, wow, I'm becoming that person.
Yeah, man.
So just be conscientious of that and just constantly day to day work towards it. And you'll look up and be like, wow, I'm becoming that person.
Amen to that, bro. Y'all keep growing. Like we say all the time, stay blessed, always be humble, and be determined in everything you do. So, my guy, good talks. Catch y'all.